Hello again. I'm here today with Patterson and Louise Moles. Hi, both.
Hi, Anne.
What we're going to be talking about today is a project that Kate and Louise are setting up, which is about wellbeing in schools, which I think anybody who's got half an eye on the news will realise is very, very much needed. But first of all, we're going to go over to Kate and Louise and let them introduce themselves and tell us a bit more about themselves, their backgrounds, and what they're doing. So who wants to start?
Me, apparently. So my first introduction to the Thrive programme was as a client. So and feeling unfulfilled in many areas of my life led me to do something different. And so learning the skill set that I now teach other clients has been hugely valuable. So I have a purpose. I have a new purpose in life to be able to take that and help other people learn the same skills that I needed at the time.
And you like to work with kids, don't you?
I do like working with kids, and the odd challenging teenager. I'm much more bring it on these days. And I do some education work in schools and helping young people who are not currently in education get back into education, and finding people like Kate who also have experience in education, and finding it very valuable to work together and help bring the programme that we have to a wider audience and a more needed audience.
Okay, great.
And so my background is much longer. I'm much older.
Yeah. So is mine, but we won't go there.
I ended up being a teacher in a nursery, as a nursery teacher. So I was qualified as a nursery teacher, and I chose nursery education because I'm dyslexic and dyscalculic. So actually going into primary schools was really quite a challenge and not possible for me. So the compromise for me was actually to be looking after young children. So, but eventually I ended up working in the special needs sector, additional needs sectors now, and working with profoundly disabled young people. So I did that for many years and became a senior manager in that area. And then subsequently, that job came to a close and I needed to have some employment. So I knew Rob Kelly and became aware of the Thrive programme, and the Thrive programme is in part of that development at the time. And actually, if I'd have known then what I know now about what the Thrive programme teaches, my life would have been quite different. So again, I was a sort of a client of the Thrive programme, and it's taught me a huge amount about how to manage myself well and learn the skills how to thrive. So it's part of my personal value set that I want to show people how to be independent, to know how to look after themselves. And I think we talked about it earlier, didn't we? That's the key thing for us, is we want to show people how they can manage themselves well, so they don't rely on other things and other people. So that's the journey, and that's where we are.
Okay, that's great. So we'll put some links to the Thrive programme so people who don't know about it can find out more if they want to. But can you sum it up in just a few words and say what it is for someone who's never heard of it before?
So the Thrive programme is a programme based on positive psychology. So it's teaching people strong psychological foundations, basically. And often people don't know these things. Often people believe that things happen to them, they have no control over their world. And actually, if you have strong psychological foundations, then you can cope with life's challenges rather than have that emotional roller coaster of peaks and troughs and everything else like that. So where we feel out of control of our emotions and so responsive to what's going on.
The biggest lesson that I learned is that mental health, mental well-being is something that you do. It's not something that you have.
Yeah.
So again, it's not something that happens to you. It's something that you can learn to be in control of. You can learn to direct, and the psychological foundations are that skill set, that toolkit for thriving.
Great. Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you very much just for clarifying all of that. So The program that you're launching about wellbeing in schools, tell us just a little bit about, I mean, you said, you know, you're interested in education, but why did you come to the conclusion that this was something that was particularly needed or particularly useful in schools, and how is that developing?
So in our client work, working with individual clients that we do practicing the Thrive programme, we were both attracting a very much younger client base. So very stressed parents, people finding it difficult to know how to help their children manage their emotional skill set, and both having a background in education that very much meets our values of, you know, working with younger people and helping them learn that skill set. If you can start them early, brilliant, you know. That's what both of us needed in our early lives. And it was quite a natural segue to then think, well, where is there a collection of young people who need to be taught these skills? And schools, that's exactly where it is. And, you know, schools do a good job, try their best for mental health and mental provisions and mental well-being. And we would like to help direct that, so that it's not symptom focused. It's very much a psychological skill set.
I think the nature of education now is very much result driven, and target setting and everything else like that, and standards, and so the pressure on schools to deliver results for their children is really high. You know, my background was in education management, and the external pressure on the management of schools is huge, because there's an expectation of attaining targets, and because of the money that comes back into the education, into the school establishments. So but from my point of view, it's almost like closing the stable door after horses bolted. You know, you really need the children need those basic skills to be able to, and skill set, to be able to feel confident in themselves, recognise their qualities, recognise their achievements, the effort that they put in. You know, doing their best is more important than the end result, actually. And I've been surprised at meeting young people who don't have the words in their lexicon to say, actually, this shows this about me, this shows that I'm a kind and considerate person, or they don't think like that. They think about, I'm good at maths, or I'm not good at maths, for instance. So, you know, which is a completely different level. The work that we do with young people is very basic, well, young people and adults, anybody in between, is very basic and very simple. And if they get that right, then they will succeed.
Succeed in life rather than academically.
Succeed in life. Absolutely succeed in life. Yeah.
But it's a skill set for both adults and for children. So you know, what we're developing, what we've been successful with, is very much a tailored program suitable for the well-being of staff and students. So we're looking for a whole school approach, and that language, that thriving skill set, those psychological foundations can be filtered to the students. Although we work with students a lot individually as clients, the skill set that they learn, if they're taught that by somebody who's helping them bring them up in the first place, then, you know, life is much easier. If you have someone who already has that can help filter that.
So do you think that this is, I mean, we were all aware of it. We're all aware of a lot of things now that we never used to be aware of, because there is so much more, you know, communication and media and activity and all that kind of stuff going on. There's just so much more information out there. But do you think that this is something that we're aware of it because it's happening more, that young people are suffering from, you know, from ill health, mental ill health? Or has that always been the case, and it was just one of those things that, you know, you're not supposed to enjoy school, you're supposed to buckle down and work hard?
I think that's the case. Although, having said that, the pressure on schools to perform at certain levels is greater. So the pressure on from staff is greater on the children to perform. So it's a cyclical thing. And with every, I don't want to get too political about it, but with every new government, we get new initiatives and everything else like that that's driving and driving and driving. So people do need to be particularly robust to be able to cope with all of these things. And if we're not, and I will say as a we, if we're not, then life can be very, very stressful and challenging. And I know from a head teacher's point of view, they can't get head teachers for love and money. The people who want to be teachers they're finding that difficult to recruit because people find the job so difficult. But we want to work with teachers so that they can cope with whatever is expected of them, and then they can deliver those conversations to the students that they have responsibility for. So we can do it top down, bottom up, it really doesn't matter, regardless of, so we would tailor it to the school's needs. We've suggested various things to various schools, but certainly we would tailor what we want to do to the schools.
Okay. And is there any evidence that this approach works in schools?
We have colleagues who are working in the north in Yorkshire, and they already know that the behaviour of the children is improved, the bullying is going down, all those sorts of things like that. I was fortunate enough 18 months ago to work in Iceland for a little bit, as we took the programme to schools in Iceland, a colleague and I. And that has made a big difference to the young people there. Again, there was a lot of bullying, and the youngsters' behaviours has changed. But as I say, you can work from bottom up, from children to children to children, to staff to children, parents to staff to children. It really just it can be really, really flexible.
But the idea is for everybody to be speaking the same language. So it's bringing everybody to the same idea, the same principles, the same psychology, the same mindset, all of that. And yes, so we have been successful so far, and Kate and I are focusing now in the Cambridge area specifically.
Presumably you're not giving this service for free, so how is it funded? Is it yet another thing that's coming out of a school budget?
Yes. Sadly, at the moment, as we work in schools, we are working as ambassadors for our main organisation, which is the holding company, and the contract is between the holding company and the school. Okay,
so the holding company is the Thrive organisation.
Thrive Programme Holding Company, and we are ambassadors. So normally we work individually in our own businesses, but in this circumstance, and when we work in businesses, we're working for the Thrive Programme as a holding company. Okay. And the contract is between the two groups. So yes, it does come out of the school budget, which is why people find it quite difficult.
I can imagine. You hear stories that schools can't afford toilet rolls and things. It's
I know. And that's been a big problem. And as I said, we try to be as flexible as we can, because we want to get into schools. We want to show people the efficacy of it. We were having a conversation today that the independent school sector are very interested in it, and the organisation is starting to work and do some training with them.
And I think it meets their values at the moment, so it's helping people understand how what we already have success with, which is the Thrive Programme, those principles actually meet the wellbeing needs of schools, certainly at the moment.
And given that most young people are coming out of school and going into some form of employment, hopefully, is business taking any notice of this? Are they seeing that having more well-adjusted young people coming out into business, into industry, is an advantage? Are they looking at it at all? Are they interested in sponsoring the programs or anything like that?
Not that we've noticed at the moment, or not that we've had suggestions at the moment.
Good idea.
It's a good idea.
No plan. Yes, that's eventually where we would expect it to be taken, and there are other business ambassadors as well. So the sector that we happen to be interested in is education, but in terms of businesses and helping people be well-rounded and suitable for employment and certain types of employment.
I mean, it does seem to me that there is an awful lot of awareness in business now. I think there's a Deloitte building that is called the Wellness Building.
Yes.
And there are lots of companies around that have this as part of their their HR remit, or
I think the difference in the wellness sector, if you wanted to talk about wellness sector, the difference that the Thrive program is teaching people something very basic. It's not complicated, it's not therapeutic. This is a skill set. It's not like CBT or NLP, or it's not counselling. This is something that's very basic that we can teach 5-year-olds and 80-year-olds and anyone in between. And so people come away with knowledge about how they can look after themselves emotionally well. Which is and they're not reliant on pills or potions or people. They can do it themselves.
That's great. Okay, so given that this is now going to go out to, the reason we're doing this interview is to inform people in our network that that you're doing this, and in our wider networks as well, who are mostly in business. So what is it that you need from our network that will help you to do this job that you want to do, that will be of benefit to all of us?
Actually, it's contacts. It's people who are interested in the development of the young people's health and well-being in the school. It could be parent-teachers associations, it could be chair of governors, it could be head teachers, it could be people in the local authority or somebody in an academy trust. But it's an introduction to somebody that could make a decision, who is interested in something that has an intrinsic value to them, that they feel as though that they can make a difference across the whole school for pupils and staff.
Okay, good.
People who are in charge of wellbeing budgets, if you like, people who have a reason to meet those values within their business or within their educational organisation.
Okay, so if a head teacher, or as you say, a budget holder for wellbeing in a school is watching this, what would you say to them? How long is the programme? What format does it take? Does it take people away from the classroom? Is it going to take a lot of time? What kind of format are we looking at?
It's in-house. So we're happy to visit. It's a training workshop format with a legacy in terms of how long we would help people learn the initial skill set, with the view that it's something that they would continue to value, something they would continue to reinforce.
We have a vision. We talked about this before, didn't we? Is that we would like to create thriving schools. Right? A school that's thriving. And so
who wouldn't want to send their kids
who wouldn't want to have for their children to go to a school that's thriving, so they know how to thrive, they know how to teach the children how to thrive, the children are thriving, the staff are thriving, the extended people know that this is happening. So we'd like somebody in the school to be one of our thriving ambassadors, right? To maintain the skills in the school,
and that can be implemented in a fairly short space of time. The Thrive program, when we work with individual clients, is 10 hours. 6 between. Oh, really? 6
yes, it's really quick.
So the initial training in schools would be much the same in a workshop format. With the view that ambassadors would continue that skill set.
So how this happened in another place, it was that we did 2 days training, and then the staff were supported weekly after that by FaceTime or Skype until they went through the program book. There's a journal that we go through that's a written program, and that's a support. But as I say, we would tailor it to the needs of the clients involved.
Kate and I are interested in delivering inset days, teacher training in that way, and helping people understand what benefit that could be for them in their school.
I think it's important to remember, or to be clear, that this isn't just some fancy ideas that we talk about. There's a designed programme, and we work through it methodically, but not maybe methodically, but not in a linear way, not in a direct route, but depending on the needs of the people.
Okay, that's absolutely fascinating. I mean, to hear that it only takes 10 hours to share those basic skills with someone is fantastic, because most psychological programs
it's
so complicated.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference, Anne, is that this is really quick.
The
simplicity of it.
It takes effort, of course. So and that's what we're here to help schools with, knowing the best way to go about it, knowing what they need to continue, knowing what they need to keep it sustainable, but very, very accessible to all ages. We have many video diaries from 8-year-olds, I think is the youngest, to 84-year-olds now. So we have very, very loyal ambassadors who are clients themselves, who are happy to have updates as well. So it's nice to have that social proof, to hear from people that actually it's a lifestyle choice. It's a lifelong thing. It's not just 6 hours and then they're dusted.
And how does that community work? Is it a community? Is it like a Facebook group or something?
Thrive Republic. So people who have people who have clients who've had experience of the programme. They can receive newsletters on what clients are up to in their new thriving lives, and what challenges they're setting themselves.
Boot camps and training sessions and conferences and things like that.
So as an organisation, there's lots going on. Lots of ways for people to engage. So we don't just, after 6 to 10 hours, we don't kick people out the door, and in the nicest possible way, we don't want to see you again, but we do want to see you again. We want to see how you're getting on and what you're doing in your life.
But it's not a dependency culture that you're building.
No.
It's completely different.
Non-dependent on this.
Okay, that all sounds fantastic. Thank you very, very much for sharing that. I've certainly found it insightful and really interesting. I hope other people do too. We'll put some links on the webpage to show people how to get in touch with you both.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to add, or just to help people to get in touch or anything like that?
Well, Kate and I attend the Drive meetings, so online as well as meeting people. We're more than happy to have a cappuccino.
We have lots of those.
We can be seen together as individually, but most places, we're trying to obviously get more attention with this project. So we'll be seen around.
Okay. Available for coffee.
Available for
or gin. At the end of the day would be quite nice.
Love it. Okay, right, we'll draw that to a close now, and as I say, we'll put all the links on the web page so that people can get in touch with you, and hopefully you'll get some invitations.
The right ones, of course, Anne.
Okay, that's great. Thank you both very much. It's been great talking to you.
Yes, bye.
Bye for now.